Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett on this Tuesday evening. Today, we're actually going to talk about something that was just passed by the Michigan House earlier this afternoon. It's called a Public Safety Trust Fund. We heard last week from committee members on why they say that this is important. So what it would do is it's $115 million that would come from the sales tax here in the state of Michigan. So that sales tax, some of it would be sent to this fund, and it's $115 million that would be divided up among police agencies, sheriff's offices across Michigan, as well as for crime victims. And they're looking at implementing programs that help decrease crime across the state. I'm going to play a story right here for you that aired at our 6 o'clock news tonight. If you didn't catch it, I'm going to play it. It's from state lawmakers, what they had to say on the House floor earlier this afternoon before this legislation passed. Again, it passed in the House, so now it will head to the Senate before it makes its way, if it passes in the Senate, to Governor Gretchen Whitmer's desk, and she could choose to sign these into law. So I'm going to play this really quick. The story that it aired earlier tonight, just about what this legislation would look like in creating this trust fund. And again, this public trust fund, a public safety trust fund, I should say, it would be $115 million that would be allocated across the state. So the way that they were able to come up with these numbers to distribute the dollars is they looked at crime data. So this is violent crime data from municipalities. I'm going to pull up this list right now that we have. So right now, this is all divided by county. You can see the county name, and then what that violent crime data looked like, and then how much money they would get. I'm going to scroll down right now to our area. So let's start with Bay County. So Bay City, for instance. So their violent crime data shows that in 2020, there were 284, 254 in 21, and in 2022, 190. So based on these numbers and just that 3-year average, they would be getting $396,000, a little more than $396,000 that would go towards these projects. Now, these municipalities, these police departments, these sheriff's offices, they would be able to decide how they would use the money. However, lawmakers said today that this isn't just a blank check that they are writing. They have to prove after so many years that the money is actually working in decreasing crime in that community. So if it doesn't show that it's decreasing, they say that they're going to pull back some of those funds and allocate it elsewhere where those dollars could be used. This idea all started from Detroit, actually. They've implemented several programs, and according to one lawmaker that we heard today on the House floor, it's actually working in Detroit, and the homicide rate has decreased. So they have something called Project Greenlight. If you're in the Detroit area, you might have noticed that they have green lights on gas stations, restaurants. Those areas can opt in, and what it does is it's this camera technology that they're able to more readily see and use and be able to track people down. They also have something that's a gun detection program that they've been using that, according to the Detroit police chief, they had a roundtable a few weeks ago, and they said that that is also working. So lawmakers say that they want those programs implemented across the state, not just in the city of Detroit. So that's why they are allocating these dollars. Another thing that former Sheriff Brian Beagle, who's now a state representative, he said that these municipalities will get to choose how they use their money. So they could use their money to, implement more training programs for officers, or they could start these interventions to be proactive instead of reactive to when a crime happens. Another thing he mentioned was hiring more people. He said that there's not enough police officers, and he believes that that directly correlates with the amount of crime in an area. So I just want to show you Genesee County. So Flint in Genesee County, they will be getting nearly $1.9 million. Again, if this passes, it just passed in the House. It now heads to the Senate, and it would still have to be signed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer in order for it to go through. This would, again, create this public safety trust fund. When I was talking to the state representative Beagle earlier today, I asked him if there's ever been anything like this in the state. He said that they've had programs in the past. However, they just, they fizzled out. They didn't continue. So this is something that they're looking to build upon, and hopefully their goal again is to decrease crime. So you can see right here, you have Flint. These numbers were pulled from the communities. So they'd be getting nearly $1.9 million. And that's just their data from 2020, 21, 2022. So you can see that, in 2020, there were 1,223 violent crimes that happened in the city of Flint, but it has decreased over time. It was up a little compared to 2021 and 2022, but that average is among the highest in our area, which that's how they determine how much money they'd be getting. So we're going to link this list so you can go through it and you can find your community, your town, how much money they will be getting. We'll post that on our website, midmichigannow.com, under the digital desk tab. Again, this just passed this afternoon in the Michigan House, so it would still need approval in the Senate. Not all lawmakers were on board. This is bipartisan legislation, but some said that they believe that the $115 million that would be allocated to this public safety trust fund could be used elsewhere. It could be used for different programs like childcare and different parts of the community that need that most. However, it did end up passing with a majority voting in favor to let this go on to the Senate. So we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens from there. I will link again this list so that you can see what your town will be getting if this gets approved. It would be $115 million, as I mentioned. Well, I just want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight on this Tuesday evening for Crime Unveiled with Courtney Bennett. We'll be back next week for another all-new Digital Desk. Have a good night, everyone.